So back at the start of March, I got news that our startup Handycaddy was actually going to raise investment. So I'd been side hustling this project for I want to say 3-4 years. And obviously balancing the job alongside that was tough. Knew it was a short-term thing, right? Because I was eventually going to be able to go full-time. So I felt at the start of March that we had some really good momentum, obviously being backed by a pretty notable investment company. And then our sales were increasing, so we're starting to get more clubs. Now with me being full-time in the project and being able to invest more hours into it, I would be able to spend more time on the phones, therefore we'd have a higher conversion rate. But to be honest, it was far from the truth. So in those months, April and May, I think there was no real cause for panic because I was just starting to call US clubs. We actually had a good few demos requested during that period, but nothing was converting. So I started to, look at our offer, started to see, was our offer correct? And then May came, no sales. June and July came around, still no sales. And by the time we got to August and September, it was 3-4 months with no sales coming in, which is obviously, it's very challenging as a startup. And we kept looking at our product and there was no real issues with our product. Our current customers were happy. So why were people not buying? So I started looking in a little bit to my actual sales process and how I took people through learning about our product right through to actually the purchasing decision. And one thing that I found was during the demo, the user of the product was very happy with what it would do and it would solve their problem. And what we used to do is just send a proposal through and just say, yeah, share this with your manager. Share this with your manager and let me know when you're ready to go ahead. And of course, echo silence for the next few weeks, and then we got feedback saying, well, our manager doesn't see the value for money. So that was the first point where I thought, something different has to go on in our process here. So new things had to change. So coming towards the end of September, the first thing I actually did was hire a sales coach. Now, a lot of you might be saying you don't need to hire a sales coach, you can learn this yourself. But as Alex Hormozy says, I think you either pay with your own time to learn the skill or you pay with money to quicken your process. And I feel like it was at that point where we really needed sales to start coming in that it was a worthy investment. So I hired a sales coach at the end of this month and we really started working on two things. So first of all was our actual offer. So what are we giving golf clubs? So what are we giving our customer? So we stripped away the annual based pricing and we went back to usage based. So that made the barrier to entry a lot lower for these clubs. The second main thing that we're working on now is improving our sales process flow. So what I've done, instead of just having one call and then sending through a proposal, the problem that happens there is the decision maker will always have questions or doubts about your product. And especially for high touch funnels like myself, in any sales decision, it's always good to be there to handle objections. Maybe you run a low touch SaaS company and obviously you've got self-serve customers, which I'm very envious of. That'd be kind of beautiful, right? But we need to be there in person to handle any objections that the managers have, because each contract of ours is kind of in that mid to higher level of contract. So the first thing we did was split up our demo calls into, first of all, a discovery call with the user to actually figure out, does this product solve their problem? The second thing we did was, after the discovery call, we now book a meeting after the meeting. So once we have the user of the platform saying that yes, this is going to help me operationally. Then we book a meeting with the operator and the general manager, i.e. the person that's going to actually pay for it. And that is what we call now a cost review call. So the purpose of that call is to go into the pain that the operator is feeling, use that as leverage then to talk to the manager and give them a reason to invest, and to actually assess, do they have the budget? So beforehand, what would happen is we would talk to the operator, we would talk to the person who'd actually be using it, they would go away for 3 or 4 months, and it would just be such a long sales cycle. Whereas now, because we're booking a meeting from a meeting, then the sales cycle has shortened significantly. We have just closed over £10,000 of deals in the last few weeks. And you know, we have got clients that have said no, but at least we're learning earlier now as to which way they're going. Look how beautiful that is. Wow. Just going to the dang shop to give me some energy drinks. So yeah, as I mentioned, I think one thing that really helped and is helping us now is diving more into the pain points of what the operator actually feels. Dude I'm using for sales coaching, he talks about twisting the knife. So whenever someone feels a pain, they're only going to take action if the pain is extreme. So you think of the example of putting your hand to the stove and you feel that initial reflex reaction to take your hand off. That's kind of how I think about my software demos now. I want to really aggravate the pain that the person feels and make them realize that they need to take action now, which ultimately speeds up the process. So in summary, the 3 things we've worked on is getting through to decision makers faster to handle objections, looking at our offering and reducing barrier to entry, and then really twisting the knife in demos and making it incredibly painful. And that's how we went from having no sales for the last 5 months to closing £10,000 of deals just in the last few weeks, and hoping that's continuing. As we're having a sick day, I'm going to keep you updated with my progress and how I get on with sales. We're still super early on our journey to $1 million annual recurring revenue, but I'd love to have you on this journey with me. If you're building something cool, leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear more about it, and I will chat to you very soon.